Hello, good morning, and you're welcome back to the channel. It's always beautiful to have you here, and every day we are grateful to God for the opportunity to discuss science. Today, we are looking at some of the ethical, legal, and social issues that surround biotechnology and its uses. We've talked a lot about in the past few weeks. We've been talking about biotechnology and its uses, its application in the different areas of life. Medicine, environment, fermentation, and all the different aspects of life where we get to use biotechnology. But it's important to note that there are ethical issues, there are legal issues, there are social issues that surround the use of biotechnology, and we'll just use a few minutes here to discuss some of these issues. We start with ethical issues. There are issues that surround ethics, and in science, when we do different experiments, when we do different trials, clinical trials, and all of that, we try to situate all of this, with the right kind of ethics, the right kind of ethical guidelines. We try to make sure that we run all our experiments within this ethical framework, because it is very important to make sure that ethics guides whatever it is we are doing in science. So when you look at what are some of the ethical issues that surround biotechnology, we look at issues such as the use of genetically modified organisms, genetically modified foods. There are ethical issues that surround all of this. There are questions asked on if it is ethical to, manipulate genes in such a way that we have different outcomes. We might argue that the outcomes are desirable, that the outcomes make for better products and better products. But the truth is that there are still questions on ethics, on morality, if we should really be playing around with genes. Now, when we come to something like the cloning of human subjects, even animal subjects, there are really a lot of ethical concerns around such things. Now, we know that there are somatic, or what we call body cells or somatic cells, where if you have manipulation of genes in these somatic cells for better outcomes, for curing of illnesses like a sickle cell, like a hemophilia, these issues, ethically, we could argue and say that yes, we manipulate these genes to give us much better outcomes, and it is for the betterment of society and humanity in general. But we also have other issues, like your germ cells, reproductive cells. There are issues about, or issues around manipulation of reproductive cells, because you don't want to have a situation where you are creating newer cells, newer reproductive cells that are enhanced. You don't want to have a situation where you create maybe superhumans, or you create humans who have much better capabilities based on the fact that their reproductive cells have been manipulated. The genes in these cells have been manipulated. These are ethical issues, and they are of concern. Now, you also have issues that surround gene editing, the use of CRISPR technology. All of these, there are issues that surround these technologies, ethical issues, questions on if really we should be manipulating genes, even though they bring for better outcome. Now, even when we talk about agriculture and animal husbandry, animal science, and all of that, where there is the use of a lot of genetic manipulations and modifications, ethical issues are also there. People who are human rights activists, they believe, or they argue that it's not ethically correct for us to be using these animals in whatever way we deem fit, even if we feel that they are bringing out better outcomes. The outcomes are for who? The outcomes are for the betterment of humanity, or for the advantage of humanity, and may not necessarily be for the advantage of the animals. So these are ethical issues. We also have legal issues surrounding biotechnology. You have issues such as intellectual property rights. Who own these genes? If you manipulate genes, if you hold patents, who holds the patent? Who has intellectual property on all these manipulations that are being done? Information that is put out there on different manipulation of genes that can be done to bring out different results. Who owns intellectual properties? These are legal issues that people can use to even, take one to court. And some of these areas are also new areas because we know that as knowledge continues to expand, you understand, laws have to expand to, control or to, regulate human conduct around these new technologies. So these are quite important. There are legal implications. There's even what we call biopiracy. These are big issues, especially in the more developed world where people have they have gene database or gene banks where different genes have been manipulated for better outcomes in maybe agriculture, maybe science, and they want to hoard this information and keep this information in order to use to make a lot of profit from this information. So there are questions around such information. Should it be free? Should it be patented? Should it be commercialized? These are all issues that are legal issues and have legal implications around the use and application of biotechnology. So you also have privacy issues, data that is generated, the data of the, people who, have data that is generated either in medicine or even in industry. This data, should it be kept private? Should it be open to the public? All of these are issues that have legal implications. We also have social implications. Many people are not sold on the idea of biotechnological application, the use of biotechnology for different and various areas of our life. Many individuals are not sold on it because they have problems with it, with as concerns maybe their religious beliefs, maybe their moral convictions. All of that have an issue with how people view the use of biotechnology. Now, let's round off this by saying that it's important to balance innovation with responsibility. Science is working hard to make humanity better, and there is innovation in very many different aspects of science. And there is innovation in biotechnology to produce better products, to produce human beings, to help cure illnesses in human beings, to make living conditions better, to improve the quality of our food, the quality of different things that we're involved in. So the question, the all-round question or the all-round issue here is that there must be a balance between innovation and responsibility. So even as we continue to innovate, to try to make life better, to try to improve humanity, we also must make sure that we are responsible, to make sure that our innovations, our inventions are not things that can harm both animals and humans and humanity in general. That they are not innovations that can be used for bioterrorism, that can be used for biocrime, that can be abused by unscrupulous individuals to be able to cause harm or problem in the society. So these are the issues. Thank you so much for listening to this video. We talked about the ethical, legal, and social implications of the application of biotechnology in our lives. Remember to like, share, comment, ask your questions, reach out to us. We are here to stay. Share this to your friends and students all around, universities, at master's level. We are here to dissect science, and do have a wonderful day.